Let me begin by thanking the European Parliament for the interest it takes on the issue of climate change and the forthcoming COP27 in particular. In light of the climate crisis, of the increasing intensity and frequency of extreme weather events linked to the human-caused climate change, and of the complex political and economic framework arising from the war of aggression by Russian Federation against Ukraine, the EU must keep a leading role in the fight against climate change. It is in that spirit that the EU is effectively preparing for COP27, which will dedicate a substantial part of its agenda to adaptation, loss and damage and climate finance, as they are key for the hosting African continent. In that regard, the EU looks forward to working alongside other parties to implementing the results of COP26 in view of keeping a balance between mitigation, adaptation and climate finance. We will continue to support and constructively engage in the two-year Glasgow Sharm el-Sheikh work programme on the global goal on adaptation. In accordance with the process set out at COP27, the EU will contribute to the operationalisation of the Santiago Network for averting, minimising and addressing loss and damage associated with the adverse effect of climate change. I understand that the Parliament is particularly interested in the action that the Council has been taking to ensure that significant progress is made during COP27. As regards nationally determined contributions, the Council reiterates ahead of the climate conference in Sharm el-Sheikh that international engagement through strong rule-based multilateralism is crucial for achieving successful results in addressing climate change. In line with the EU position expressed at the previous COPs, the Council currently prepares an ambition proposition in view of COP27, which should be agreed by the ministers at the Environment Council on October 24th. All United Nations climate change parties have been urged to revisit and strengthen by the end of 2022 their nationally determined contributions as necessary to align them with the Paris Agreement goals. Similarly, in Glasgow, parties were asked to present or update their long-term low greenhouse gas emissions development strategies towards reaching net zero emission by 2050. Ambitions and actions are essential in this critical decade to ensure that credibility of the implementation of the Paris Agreement and to reach climate neutrality in sustainable way. Therefore, the Council encourages all parties to accompany their nationally determined contribution with robust and solid domestic policy frameworks and actions to increase their short and long-term ambitions and to enhance climate action, including the use of domestic carbon prices. As you know, the negotiation between our institutions on the legislative proposal of the Fit for 55 package are ongoing, and it's difficult to prejudge the outcome in that stage. Nonetheless, it is important to note that on that ambition, we have mutually confirmed our agreed goal of at least 55% emission reduction by 2030. I can assure that the Czech presidency is doing its utmost to make as much progress as possible on all the Fit for 55 files concerned. Let me now focus briefly on climate finance, making all financial flows consistent with a pathway towards 1.5 degrees Celsius goal, and climate resilience development is essential to the implementation of the Paris Agreement and for the shift to a climate neutral, adaptive, resilient global economy and society. In this context, we welcome the forthcoming debate at COP27. And in this context, the EU calls on all countries to scale up their efforts to mobilise finance from all resources to support climate action and to mainstream climate actions in all financial flows We also renew our strong commitment to continue scaling up our international climate finance toward reaching the goal of mobilizing at least $100 billion per year as soon as possible and to 2025. In addition, we are looking forward to cooperating with other parties toward implementing the Glasgow Climate Pact's call to collectively at least double the provisioning of climate finance for adaptation to developing countries from 2011 levels by 2025. The EU also welcomes the deliberation of the new collective qualified goal on climate finance taking place until 2024 and reaffirms the EU continued constructive engagement in these deliberations. Mr. President, honourable members, Madam Commissioner, I'm sorry I will not be able to stay during an entire debate, neither for the next point that is mainly about Russia, which was added to the agenda yesterday. It was a long day, but we've got a duty-zone and I have to catch my plane to Prague later on today. So sorry for that, but my colleagues would address the things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bartoš.